Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Earth's Feminine. My name is Esaia the Creatrix. I am the head creatrix over here on the Earth's Feminine channel. And this is the place where you can come if you are completely new to my channel, okay? This is the place where you can come to learn all about primal feminine energy, the feminine energy before it was conditioned and programmed into thinking and believing that it was something that it is not. So this is a place where I'm just clearing the air on what it really means to tap into authentic and true feminine energy that is deeply intertwined with our goddess self, with with spirituality, and with the higher or highest nature of femininity. So thank you all so much for being here. I love you all so much. And a special thank you, a special thank you to everyone who showed up to the previous live that I did with Shane on Millionaire Men Who Provide. Also, as you come into the video, make sure you like the video, okay? And support, give it a like so the video can do really well and you can support the channel. But yeah, thank you to everyone who came in last Friday. What was Friday night's live video, which was so fun. We had a lot of fun. Shane had a lot of fun. He was like, I want to do that again. And I'm like, okay, Shane, hold on, calm down. Okay, Shane, if you're watching this. um Shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, to all of the women who participated, who commented, who shared their vulnerabilities. Shout out to Heather for making us laugh and being silly in the chat. It really just added to the vibe of what we were um, talking about and bringing awareness to. And um, Shane, I felt like was a perfect beginning to introducing um collaborative lives with men who I consider to be providers. We dated in 2021. We met in 2021, and ever since then, I've always known him to be someone that is very, very generous with me and always loves to make sure that I'm just well taken care of and that I have what I need and that my daughter is good and that my daughter has what she needs. And so I just felt like he was a good beginning to kind of open up the conversation and start the conversation on that. Shane is actually a millionaire and he used to have I believe $1 million business um back in the day, okay, back in like the early 2000s. And he is around typically what I consider to be a lot of men who are well off and are established. So I just felt like he was a good first start, a good beginning to opening that door and opening the conversation when it comes to providing and how men really think when it comes to providing. There are some things that came up in the live video that I absolutely want to touch on in today's video that was brought up in the comments. Aleva, that needs to be turned all the way down. So, yeah, so I do want to touch on what was talked about in the video. Aleva, now that needs to turn down now. Thank you. So I do mommy mode and live mode. Okay, I'm gonna be a master at this. By the time I don't know, I feel like I'm a master. I'm gaining a mastery in it right now. Um, Really, women deserve degrees in balancing being a mom and doing what they love. But yeah, so I want to touch on what came up in the previous live video And also, there was a comment by one of my most loyal subscribers. She's been subscribed to this channel from day one. Dee Dee, if you're watching this, I love you so much. And I'm so appreciative of you for being one of my most active and engaged subscribers. Um, I know that a lot of you are also coaches. You also have your own channels, or you have your own this a lot of you are also um focused in the area of feminine energy and feminine energy, and you are all leaders in your own right, right? You're also leaders in your own right. And so I just want to acknowledge and highlight that um in reference to the comment that was made on the video, right? Um, you feel like this passion, right? I know the passion came up. Okay, I know the passion came up for um and and probably a lot of you, right? Like, because what one person feels, a lot of other people feel as well. And not only did you feel it, Dee Dee, but I also felt it when I was doing the live video with Shane, was that kind of feeling of um, like wanting to passionately respond when I believe it was Safe Haven. I don't know, but one of one of the women in the live chat mentioned how um when we were talking about provision and men providing, the subject of having the fear of whether or not a man is going to expect something in return, whether or not um, a man is going to like latch onto you in an unhealthy way because he sent you some money, or because he did something for you, or because he's helping you. Okay, that's a lot. That's a big fear a lot of women have, and we touched on in the previous live how to really acknowledge and be able to tell when you're dealing with a man that could potentially go down that route of being unhealthy or expecting something in return from you. So we touched on that in the live video, but in today's video I definitely want to dive deeper into Shane's response and kind of soften that a bit so that it can be understood better, and then also clarify how feminine energy isn't transactional, right? Feminine receiving is not transactional. Feminine receiving is never transactional. It's actually very masculine. Like, the masculine is way more transactional. Masculine energy is all about the transaction, whereas feminine energy is all about the experience and the exchange, what the exchange feels like, and how authentic um the receiving is, right? Is it aligned, basically aligned receiving? And feminine receiving just is. It's not, it just receives. It's not something that requires a transactional, or even wants to experience a transactional type of exchange. Usually it's men who unconsciously put the energy of transaction into a relationship. And um I think a lot of men do that unconsciously, but also um to go back to that moment in the video where that comment came up of not feeling safe. If I'm recalling correctly, I think I remember Shane's response. Um, or at some point in the video, he mentioned how men are always going to expect something in return. Okay. And I believe it was that at that point in the video, I was I had to bring him back around to being aware of what is actually needed from women in these scenarios, and what what position women are in when they are feeling these things, okay? So I don't know if y'all caught that, but I definitely had to do some softening in um the way that was being like shared, and also the way it was being received, because Shane is a very practical man, okay? He's an earth sign, he's a Capricorn, and Capricorn men are very practical and they can also be very transactional. Um they aren't very, like, they can be dreamers, but when it comes to like the way things make sense, a lot of the times Capricorn men are going to have a very practical response to things. So when the comment comes up of I'm afraid that he's going to expect something of me in return, it didn't register fully to him that like what's actually going on with a woman when she's saying something like that, okay? And that's something that I had to break down. I did it in the video. um Actually, in that moment, I did it in the video in that moment, but let's dive deeper into that because um so in the comment um that was made, that I responded to, so Didi's comment, and the comment that was made, um she came in and she felt that fire to his kind of overly practical response of, well, of course a man is going to expect something in return, okay? And in an extremely practical man's mind, he's thinking, well, yeah, that's just the nature of things. Of course he's going to want something in return from you when he gives you something. But I will say that in a lot of my experiences with Shane, that hasn't been the case. So a lot of the times, I think that men say things just because of how it ideally sounds and how it I would ideally make sense, right? So like mentally in his mind, that answer made sense. But in my experience with Shane, um he's given to me on several occasions without any, well, what are you going to do for me, or heavy expectations, or um anything like that, right? So I knew in that moment that, okay, here's a polarity moment happening, and um this is where we get to explore each other deeper and understand each other deeper. um so in that moment, Didi, you felt that fire, okay? If you're watching this, I'm talking to you. If, for those of you who are watching this now or in the future, you may have felt that, like, oh, but that response doesn't make me feel better. Okay. And so Didi came into the comments and she was like, well, you know, it's absolutely possible for you to have whatever you want in relationship with a man, and a man can do anything for you, and um, he can send you money, he can send you this, he can send you that. I also want to touch on a little bit later in the video why, or I wouldn't say why, but the difference between also a man, right, like short-term provision, spending, a man spending on you for the short term versus long-term provision versus legacy provision versus men who are most likely going to be around and provide for you for a very long time, right? And those are the traits that, or I would say the qualities that I think that I experienced with Shane were more so of qualities of, like, I may not be the guy who's going to spend, like, I don't know, 50K on a bag that you want, or something that is like, you know, like accessories, or something that in his mind is like, I don't know if that's worth it, right? But he is the type to make sure that long term I'm okay. And I think, or anyone that he's dating or anyone that's in his life is okay. And that's what I've witnessed from him. And I've also kind of witnessed that and experienced that in other men and the differences, right? And that's why I'm bringing up the fact that Shane is a Capricorn. If I was talking to a fire sign man in that live video, if I was talking to a Leo man, Aries man, or a man who takes pleasure in like showing off and like going big and in basically like splurging and spending in really big ways, answer would have been different, right? Which is why I am opening the door. And also, if y'all have not went to my community post, let me know in the polls, okay? This is why I'm opening the doors to like, okay, do should I bring in more people to talk to? Should we talk to more men? Like let's or men that I know are providers or have provided in a certain way. Um and not just men, okay? I'm also like, okay, it would be fun to also talk to other women as well. It would be fun to talk to women who have provided, or not provided, who have women who have received in big ways from men, women who have experienced provision from men and things like that, okay? So y'all let me know after you're done with this video in the community post if you are interested in seeing that, if you're interested um in me doing like a video of series of just kind of interviews with different men, different women and things like that. um but yeah, so that's the response that he had to that. And it did bring up that feeling of like um practicality. I would say practicality, which is like the opposite of expansion. Practicality more so than expansion, okay? And that's the masculine perspective a lot of the times, not all of the times, like especially if you're talking to a different type of man. But if you're talking to, a really practical man, the practical perspective is going to be, yeah, men are going to want something in return. Always going to want something in return. But this is what I want to say to that to go even deeper, is that men don't always see how they're embodying this truth, okay? That um masculine energy is just going to give. The healthy masculine energy is just going to give, not because they want something, but because it aligns with his purpose of masculinity. It aligns with his um his alignment to his masculinity. He provides because it's his identity, right? More so than this is what I want to get out of this woman, right? Which is more predatory, which is more um you know yeah, it's more predatory. So Shane didn't always he's never actually been that way with me, and so that's why I had to break that down further. um and what I think he was getting at, or what I felt like he was getting at when he said, well, men are always going to expect something in return, is that there is 9 times out of 10 a deep-seated desire for something to blossom from the relationship that he has with the woman that he is giving to and providing for, because men providing for a woman is him building a connection with her. It's him associating her with his masculinity and the um him feeling more masculine, right? So there are feelings, or and typically that man is going to start to feel more connected to her, feel more you know like he has a need and a purpose in her life. And a lot of the times there what I've experienced is like it'll just be an undercurrent of a desire, right? Something that they won't actually act on or push if he's a healthy man like Shane, right? He won't push it, he won't force it, but it'll be just an undercurrent of I do want that, right? Like I wouldn't say no, okay? I wouldn't say no if she wanted to open the door to more. I wouldn't say no if she, you know, so I think from me knowing him personally, that is absolutely the message that I got when he had that response, is that the honest truth is that when men provide for you, they are not doing it um because they don't have a desire with you. Okay. And this is something that I absolutely delve deeper into inside of the Soft Life Blueprint. And if you didn't know, the Soft Life Blueprint is now available as a bonus inside of my new and upcoming program. We're going to be getting started on October 6th. I believe that is the full moon or the day of the full moon or sometime around the full moon, but we're going that's the day we're going to be getting started. So the Soft Life Blueprint, inside of the Soft Life Blueprint, I'm hitting on this exactly, right? How there is a lot of men in your life right now who have desire for you, right? Who have desires with you. And that's something that if you want to start living a softer life and you want to start um let's see, what's the word? Utilizing that desire that men have for you, then you have to you have to start getting comfortable with it. Okay? Comfortable with a man desiring you. And I think this is another really important thing to touch on, because for a lot of women, that fear of a man giving to you is also associated with a fear and this trauma around a man desiring you, around a man wanting you. Even if you are not necessarily attracted to him, or basically what I've noticed with a lot of women is that they base whether or not it would be safe to receive from a man off of whether or not they want him or have the same level of attraction or desire for him, is what I see with most women. And so they say, oh, well, I don't have any desire for him. So if he gives to me, he's going to expect me to desire him. He's going to expect me to um basically like reciprocate the desire he has for me, and that's just not true, okay? Reciprocating, and this is something that we touched on in the previous live, the reciprocation that most provider men are looking for is just honestly baseline general friendship. Just um friendship or some level of attention, right? And so in the Soft Life Blueprint, I go way deeper into what this actual friendship can look like and how you go about connecting with a man that is going to pull out or just inspire him to want to keep providing, or to even think of providing or helping you, or making your life easier. Okay, so that is inside of Safe to Receive. We're going to get started with Safe to Receive on October 6th. So before October 6th comes, you have the chance to enroll at the early bird, paying full price, which is um you'll be saving $220 on the early bird enrollment, or you can make a deposit for safe to receive. It's $111 for the deposit, and this is going to secure your spot for accessing all of the bonuses that are inside of safe to receive, which is going to be the soft life blueprint, the wealthy woman activation training. We've got a feminine abundance session that I'm going to be doing for the women who enroll before October 6th only. Okay. So this is a personal channeling that I'm going to be doing for women who want to dive deep into what their money blocks may be, handling blocks. Okay. When it comes to money, your handling blocks, your habit blocks, your feeling blocks, your um habit blocks, okay? Any kind of blocks you have around money, and also tapping into what you are already doing really well, like basically your gifts when it comes to aligning yourself with wealth, feminine receiving, and um money. So safe to receive is the 10K windfall activation program for feminine wealth. My goal in this program is to align the women who come in with the frequency of calling in a windfall of money, basically through any of the three avenues that I have outlined within the program that I consider to be basically the most feminine channels of wealth, which is one, magical money, okay, which is basically money that you are manifesting and is coming to you from the universe. Okay, unexpected money. Two is masculine money, which is basically the money that men provide for you and assist you, use give to you to make your life easier, everything like that. This can be money from your husband, money from men you're dating, money from your male friends, like I don't care, just masculine provision. And then the third windfall is feminine business, right? Is the avenue of feminine business. So this is where I'm really going to be spilling the tea with you all on how I was able to make 10 manifest a 10K month in my business, um call in high level receiving in my feminine business, and um feel like I can make money doing what I love. Okay, and that is so feminine. That is the most, to me, like one of the most feminine ways of receiving. So those are the three avenues, and that's what I'm going to be lining the women who sign up for the program with. So the link is pinned in the description, or you can go to the links down below in the description box. So I'm sorry, the link is pinned in the comments right now, and if you're interested, you can go down below into the description to sign up for that. So let me make sure I'm remembering, okay, where I was at in this conversation. Um, okay, so we were talking about the desire, that men are always going to have desire for you. And this is what was being touched on when Shane was mentioning men are always going to expect something. It's the desire they have for you, okay? Now, this isn't always, okay? This is just 9 out of 10 times. Okay, if uh, honestly, sometimes it's always, but um when a man has desire for you, or if it's not desire coming from the sacral and it's love, okay, because desire is one thing and then love is another thing, okay, and that's something that I would say maybe takes a little bit time to fully activate that heart chakra energy. um But honestly, you can activate it instantly. I've experienced activating a man's heart chakra very, very early on. Actually, I think I'm pretty good at that. Um, but the love, right? The love that he has for you, if you have a basis of that friendship, is what enables him to just give. Okay. and or the desire that he has for you is what allows him or enables him to give. So it's usually kind of a blend of those two things. And that's what he was hitting on when he was mentioning the expectation part, is that the truth is that most of the men who are going to provide for you have either that love for you or that desire for you. When men don't have either of those things, typically they're not going to really be as interested in providing or in helping or in doing anything, right? The women that they feel that way towards are the women that they are typically going to give the most to. So, um the trauma around, or I would say the fear that women have around that, is what causes them to kind of shrink back and be like, it's not safe to receive from men. Okay, because there's a fear of being in some level of intimacy with a man. Now, when I talk about intimacy, I'm not talking about physical intimacy. Okay, I'm talking about energetic intimacy with a man. Women have been conditioned to be afraid of that because of the hyper focus, or the I would say the hypersexualization, right? Like, of intimacy that has been done to intimacy. Okay. And intimacy, and the focus of intimacy, what a lot of men think, that the intimacy that they want is the physical intimacy, but it's not really what they need. Okay. And that's the part that when you start getting comfortable with and diving a little bit deeper into, okay, where what blockages are coming up for me around, like, that experience of receiving, like, what am I really afraid of, what is really in the way of me being fearful of a man giving to me. Okay, once you can dive a little bit deeper into those experiences and understand that, then it becomes a lot easier. Actually, the perfect add-on, right? So when you click the Safe to Receive link in the description or in the pinned comments, Deeply Loved is the perfect 3-day immersion, 3-day to 3-week immersion that will allow you to do the shadow work around this exact thing. So, um the fear, right, of receiving from a man, the fear of intimacy with a man, the fear of a man expecting sex from you, right? Or like maybe you have a pattern in your life of constantly attracting men who that's what they are wanting from you, is they're wanting nothing from your experience, like from your vantage point, is all this man wants from me is sex, right? This is all this man wants from me. And this is honestly what most women preach and teach, is that all men just want what's in between your legs, right? That's really just the main thing that they want. But what I have to say is that that's really not what they really want. I think that's what a wounded man really wants. And oh, consciously, right? I would say that would be his top priority, is that physical intimacy. And a lot of the times, men who live by that needing to have that physical intimacy like immediately, they are using that to mask and avoid actual intimacy. They're using that to run away from actual intimacy. Actual intimacy with a man involves challenging, right? Challenging him. And not just like surface level challenging. I want to kind of break this down a little bit better. But it's like when we're in conversation, like, can you expose, you know, the real you to me? And can I expose the real me to you? Not the me that I think I am, or not the me that I'm performing for you, and the same thing for him, but can we really see each other and experience each other? And I think for a lot of men, they are they are what's the word? Thirsty for that intimacy. They are thirsty for love in that way, right? That intimacy in that way. And so what happens is, the for the men who are wounded and have some trauma around love and intimacy, or whatever the case, they will use sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, as a way to avoid actual intimacy. And that is what from what I understand on the men's behalf, um, that is actually going on. And so now women collectively are like, all men want is sex. I mean, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube really often. And Marina L, welcome to this live session. Marina L says, "You're so pretty. Thank you for your teaching us, for teaching us this wisdom, goddess. You're oh so welcome. It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. This stuff gives me life and energy, and I'm very passionate about this. Um, it's really funny because after we did the live, Shane took me and my daughter to she was going to like something called the slime factory, where she gets to like have this whole experience of like making slime, and it was really cool. And then after that he was like, "Oh, we should start a slime factory business." And I'm like, I'm good. I already have my passion. I already know what I love to do. You can start a slime factory business, even though I don't think you should do that. I mean, if you it would be a good practical idea, right? This is why I say, he's a very practical man. Shane was a very practical man. So he was mentioning how we could, oh, like, look at all the money that would be made from this business. Like, should start something like this. We could hire people to run it. Da 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 da. And I'm like, no, let's focus on this. Like, this is what I want to do. This is my passion. This is what I love. And maybe down the line, when I'm retired, or you know I'm bored, and start a slime factory business. um Path to water says 222 water says great. So yeah, so I'm gonna take a sip of some of my juice real quick, but let me remember or refresh my mind on what I was saying. Um, um, so that fear, okay, that women have collectively, of all men want is intimacy, all men want is intimacy, is coming from actually masculine wounding, and um men being stuck in this timeline of associating the pleasure of a woman with the actual the highest level, right, which is like the peak, right, of intimacy, which is the physical intimacy, is the peak, right? And so you have men who are literally addicted to physical intimacy. We know this, right? They're PORN, addicted to, like, we know that they exist. And I know in my experience, I've come across men um that did wrestle with that addiction. And whenever I got to talk deeper with these men, whenever I got to really kind of explore them a little bit more and understand why they feel the need to kind of go that route. I would also say men who are addicted to if they're not addicted to that, right, into like PORN, um they also or will most likely have cheating problems, or they'll have issues with monogamy, right? So that's another way that that plays out. And this is where also women are like, all men are cheaters, right? This collective consciousness of, oh, all men cheat, it's coming from masculine wounding. And this is also just another huge reason why I felt so called to start this channel, because what we think is normal, what we think is common or just what it is, right? There was something that I learned when I was in college. For those of you who don't know, I have a BA in behavioral sciences or behavioral studies. I was working my way up to becoming a therapist. But then I got pregnant and my life took another direction, and here I am. But in college, I did learn in one of my sociology classes, psychology, one of the two, where what we think is human nature is not actually human nature, but it's human conditioning. And so a lot of the things that we think is, oh, this is in a human nature, right? Or this is a man's nature, or this is a woman's nature. A lot of what we've associated with that is actually conditioning, is actually a product of the environment and society that we live in. It's not actually normal. So when we can step out of that and enter into the lens of really seeing it for what it is, and that, yeah, it's perfectly possible for the mass majority of men to be stuck in a timeline that's not normal for masculinity. That's perfectly normal. Does that also mean that this is just the way men are? Aleva, I accidentally closed the door on Tobiah and he's scratching at your door. Can you open the door for him? I locked our cat in the room. He's trying to get out. Meow. It's not, but the door's closed and cats can't open doors. Um, so a lot of what we think is normal for men is just not normal. And that is what also is attributed to this collective consciousness that the feminine has, but also a collective fear and trauma that a lot of women need to burst through and expand past, so that they can live a softer life, so that they can trust men again, so that they can feel in power with men, in the driver's seat with men, and they're not consistently feeling like um men are unsafe, or men are not safe to receive from. And though there are a lot of things out there online, there are a lot of examples, there are a lot of experiences out there in the world of women experiencing men who are unsafe and the unhingedness of men. I even have a little story that I posted in my shorts. I've talked about it a couple times in some of my previous live videos of a recent date that I had to call the police on, you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. But I'm not hyper focusing on that experience as if it's like, I'm not going to hyper focus on that. And I think that's also a lane that women can start to go down, is I need to hyper or not I need to hyper focus on it, but it's more so subconscious. Um you start to focus and like way more on how horrible men are and how doomed men are, and how, and everything like that. And though the awareness of the state that these men are in is beautiful and it's great because it will bring about change. But another thing that I absolutely preach and teach on this channel, but also I definitely go into this in depth inside of Valued and Worthy, which is also a bonus inside of Safe to Receive. One of the first modules, okay, is we're actually in the second module. Um, not the second yeah, the second module where I'm teaching you how to manifest in a feminine way. It is so important for you to literally leave the subject of something that is traumatic or something that is like keeping you, or I would say making you feel like, if something is not making you feel good, it's very important to do the shadow work around it, to approach it with courage, to look at it, to face it, and to move through it. I'm 100% for that. Okay. I'm not with the toxic positivity and, oh, don't talk about negativity. No, negativity is powerful. Negativity is feminine. Negativity is where everything is born from. Okay. Everything that we have, that we experience, came from somebody experiencing the shorter end of the stick. Okay. We have all of these advancements and beautiful things on this earth to experience now because somebody somewhere experienced the dark side of it, of not having it, or the dark side of not experiencing something else. Okay. That was on the opposite end of the spectrum. So we need that negativity to birth new things. That's the feminine's power, okay, of of negativity. But the thing is, okay, is we also have to have emotional maturity when we're swimming in the feminine waters. If we don't have emotional maturity swimming in those feminine waters, this is another thing that came up in the previous live that I did with Shane, is the emotional maturity part, or the emotional immaturity, is where Shane highlighted that's his cue to let him know that a woman is not like, I can't give to her because she's not going to receive it, is the emotional maturity. His way of outlining it and everything was in reference to like opinions, and a woman having or the way that she has opinions or shares her opinions. But when I dive deeper into it, the emotional maturity is what came up for me, because I know women who are crazy opinionated. I know times that I have been in, like, so opinionated to the point where connection is lost, understanding is lost, and love is no longer in the room. Okay. So, um, you gotta have that emotional maturity to be able to boop, but jump up out of that negativity, that negative experience of um a man expecting um something like physical intimacy from you. um Maybe you have personally had an experience like that, or you may just be kind of like enmeshed or around a bunch of women who warn you, right, of those experiences, right? Like a man who has money is just good, or who's giving you money is just gonna, you know, want this from you or want that from you or blah 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 blah. You got to hop up out of that real quick, okay? And you got to start painting the world the way you want it to be painted and the way you want it to look. And going back to the comment that I got from Dee Dee on the previous video, that was essentially what she was breaking down in her comment. And um I don't know if I touched on this earlier when I was talking, but for the women who have been subscribed to this channel for a very long time, and like that passion that she felt in that moment, it made her come out and like um and be like, no, like this is what how you need to think, ladies, right? This is how you need to believe in and understand things. um I don't know if I touched on this because I may have touched on it. I did this live video like 2 different times and I had to restart it. Thankfully, the stream is going well. I haven't had to restart it. But if I didn't mention it, I'm gonna mention it now that I replied to that comment, um, just kind of referencing for those of you who do feel a lot of passion in the moment and you want to step into like a leadership role in the comments. I absolutely love women the women on this channel sharing and giving feedback and everything like that, but also I have to be a little bit more boundaried this time around with the energy that people come on here with my channel with, right? Especially women, because this channel is meant for women and I have opened myself up to receiving women. I'm a little bit more like guarded when the men come on the channel, or just kind of ready to block when men come on the channel because I'm used to a certain energy with them. But I've also recently, if you have tuned into some of my get ready with me's, from 2023 up until summer of 2025, I have been experiencing or dealing with or having to become aware of the reality that's, some women come on my channel, they see how open and receptive and loving I am, and then they see that as an opportunity to um douse my fire or undermine me or um try and say something or uh, that will, take like basically like take a little hit at me or, the jealousy. And then I have been coming on here with the saying of any evil eye and all jealous or competitive energy, may that be thwarted and repelled from this channel. If any of you are watching this video right now, you can go ahead and just click off of this video. I've had to do that, okay? I've had to protect myself from crazy clients who are entitled to my energy, who, you know, and don't get me wrong, most of my clients absolutely amazing, soulmate clients, soulmate energy. But some women have been a little batshit crazy. So sometimes if you see me in the comments setting boundaries with you or anyone else, it is 100% out of love and it is because I'm elevating the frequency of the space. Um so that I can be in a more elevated energy and be an example for other women who are also in this field, right? If you're a woman who's a coach, who is a leader in any way, shape, or form of fashion, these are just some of the things that you have to do. So I did set some boundaries in the comment section, and just going forward, I also want to let other women know that um I am elevating my space, so boundaries will be set a lot more often and things will just be done a little bit differently. But nonetheless, I still love all of you and I love um the understanding and the women who are also on the same level of or inspired to rise with me, and you don't see any of that as a personal attack or anything like that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Um so yeah, okay. So I talked about boundaries, I talked about transaction and true provision. So overall, true provision from masculine energy is going to come from pure desire, right? And that desire, either pure desire or pure love, right? It's either going to come from one of those two places, and it's very important for us, for women who are holding on to that fear of things becoming transactional in a way to where a man is going to expect something from you or demand something from you. And I know that there are a lot of women out there who are not supportive of a woman being in her power and receiving in a feminine way. I know that. Okay. So it can be difficult to fully understand and just kind of accept, like, I can receive without him wanting physical intimacy, right? Because we're already know now from me breaking that down where most men are operating from this lower frequency of, I want physical intimacy. I want your body. I want, you should be doing this for me if I do that for you, right? That is a man who's operating from that lower frequency timeline. A man who's operating from the higher frequency of that masculine timeline is going to understand and desire and be satisfied with the energetic intimacy that you exchange with a man as reciprocity, which is 9 times out of 10 the most natural way that we exchange and we show appreciation anyway. Okay. We talked about this a little bit in the live as well, um, about how um, emotional currency is the currency that most provider men are looking for in women. Um, it's not really, and that's why we could say, or that's why Shane could say that friendship was the basis for really pretty much all provision, is because the emotional currency is exchanged in a friendship with a man. So not necessarily like actually a friendship, but baseline friendship, right? A friendship is something that is pure. It's different than any other kind of relationship because no matter what happens in a friendship, you are understanding, you are compassionate, you typically don't have the same expectations that you would on a romantic partner or on your children or on, like, there's a lot of relationships in our life where, we have a lot of expectations, but what it's okay, it's perfectly also okay to have expectations. However, you want to get to a point where the baseline of your relationship with someone is unconditional love, or no matter what happens, right? If you go, right, like if things don't work out in these other levels of a relationship, right, like a romantic partnership, or well, I'm gonna just use romantic partnership as the main example because that's what I'm talking about here. But if a romantic partnership it doesn't work out, we're still good. Like, I still love you as a person. I still appreciate you as a person. Um, I still rock with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the baseline energy, really all a masculine provider man needs to work with in order for him to feel like I want to provide long term, especially long term. Okay, so let's get into, and let me drink. Let me drink some of that juice. Let's get into the long-term provision and legacy wealth here for a second, because and I also kind of want to talk about, like, really the difference between men who are going to spend money on you for the night and men who are going to spend money on you, like, for your life, okay? For your life. So, thinking about the kind of provision that is the most valuable to you is important, because you really want to, like, all kinds of providing I love and appreciate. Okay, whether it's in the moment or it's long term. However, the most I would consider the most valuable type of provision is the provision that is going to last longer than you, okay? It's going to spill over into your children's lives, into, into their children. Like, that's the kind of wealth that I think when we're talking about providers that are going to provide for you long term, that are going to put you in their will, that are going to put you on the life insurance policy, that are going to put, properties in your name, that are, going to make sure that you are good forever. This is where this baseline of unconditional love is very important, because a man who feels that connection with you, right? Doesn't have to be romantic, doesn't have to be physically intimate, but it has to feel real and like the love is there unconditionally. That will evoke more of the long-term wealth provision, more so than the um one-time wealth provision, or the couple $1,000s for this thing, or the more, I would say, quote unquote, transactional types of provision, um which can be based more so in ego and in desire. Okay, in desire. So stop screaming, please. Let her bark. um so And if you guys can hear my dog barking, I'm sorry if it's too loud, but she's just gonna bark sometimes. Sometimes the dogs just gotta bark. Um, but that is what I would say, what you really want to like look at when it comes to long term, being provided for long term versus the short term things. Okay, so I talked about desire and love. Okay, and these two areas where a man is gonna provide for you from. The desire that a man has for you is going to be more so of the maybe big amounts, but it'll be short term, right? It'll be like in the moment. It'll be um like it might be a big thing, but it'll be in the moment thing, okay? It'll be something like, I'll use an example of like when a man is spending on you big and in the moment based on desire, right? It could be because he wants to really impress you and he's very enticed and attracted to you. And that's why I said this is usually based more so in ego, because he wants to impress you. He wants you to see him as a great guy, a masculine man, yada, yada, yada. Okay. These are going to be the boom, here it is, here's the money. And but it'll also be probably short term or short lived. Okay, the more long term types of provision is going to come when you connect to his heart. So, oh my gosh, if you want to just go ahead and combine safe to receive with deeply loved, that would be amazing. Like, that would be like a double whammy when it comes to really understanding your feminine power and the way men are relating to you, because inside of deeply loved, I am teaching you specifically like what really makes a man fall in love with you, what really makes a man cultivate a deep sense of love for you and wants to become a better man for you, right? So the desire and the love part, I definitely go real deep into deeply loved about this. Um because we're going into dark feminine energy and we're going into light feminine energy, okay? So if you click the link in the comments for the safe to receive, or if you click the link in the description, deeply loved should be listed as an add-on for safe to receive if you want to add it on. If you just click on Deeply Loved, I think it might take you to the link to check out for Deeply Loved. Um, After this video is done, I'll just go ahead and update the description because I didn't put the link in the description for Deeply Loved. But that is like a double whammy because when you have both desire and love going on, right? When you have both the desire going on and the love going on, it makes this is where the combination of just your dream relationship comes in. Your dream experience and love comes in. And that's why the program is called Deeply Loved, okay? Because those two areas are where um is where you rule in your feminine energy. Okay? It seems like it's something that a man is ruling over, but it's not. It's something that he desires or is coming to you for because that is where you shine. Okay, when it comes to the feminine energy, right, in our bodies, I typically break this down so that it can be understood very well in relationship to the chakras. What are the feminine chakras? What are the masculine chakras? The masculine chakras are going to be the root chakra, the solar plexus, the throat, okay? And then the feminine chakras are going to be the sacral chakra, the heart chakra. Sorry if I'm hitting the mic. The heart chakra and the third eye chakra. Crown chakra is a combination of both energies. Um, so inside of Deeply Loved, I'm actually breaking down really all three chakras, okay? The first day or immersion, right, is going to be the sacral. The second immersion is the heart. The third immersion is the third eye up here. And this is basically your blueprint to manifesting your dream love, manifesting your dream partner, manifesting a man who is going to love you the way you want to be loved and treat you the way you want to be treated. So that desire that a man has, okay? By the way, Deeply Loved is currently on sale in celebration of Q4. So um I believe it is, I'm not sure the exact price, but it is on sale. So I'm definitely gonna make sure to add that into the description or even the comments. Well, no, not right now. Um okay. So that sacral energy, that desire that a man has is the short term or it can be big amounts. This is usually the big splurges. Um but it's usually the short term and the love that a man has for you, that heart chakra energy. This is the long-term provision. This is the long-term legacy wealth. This is the wealth that is going to last for forever, right? This is what's going to get you on the life insurance, the will, the you know what I'm saying, the houses in your name, right? Because that love that he has for you is deep. It's there and it's running and it ain't never going to go nowhere. It's going to be there forever. Okay? Once you lock in right there, um there is no locking out, okay? Whereas the sacral energy is, desire waxes and wanes. Desire is something that we can feel. Well, I would say mostly for women, it waxes and wanes. um, Desire can be or tends to be consistent for men. However, they have to be in that higher energy of desiring or being okay with intimacy that is energetic and not always or the expectation of physical intimacy, right? Like the way that you can understand and pinpoint that this is something that a man is in his higher masculine timeline in is um let's see. I think when it comes to being able to identify these men. And again, in the previous live, we identified a lot of signs for men who are 9 times out of 10 going to or might have some kind of a issue with like they might provide for you and then have an issue with you about it or resent you for it or something like that. We talked about that in the previous live. Now I want to kind of talk about the men that align with that higher timeline of being okay with the energetics. And um I think the signs are really clear in how he responds um to you receiving. Um so that's something that you definitely have to look for. Maybe that's something that I can kind of think about a little bit more of like the signs and everything for men that are on that higher timeline. I would have to think cuz I'm thinking about kind of going back to like when I first met Shane in 2021 and we were dating. Now, I want to be clear because somebody did mention in the chat for the previous live, they asked if we were married or if we were together. We are not currently married. We are not currently together. Um, we're not even really currently dating. We did date back in 21 and we've just always stayed connected since then. On and off. Just touched base with each other and everything like that. Because we're still single. Both of us are. So, um, so we are not an item. For those of you who might think that we're an item or interpret that. So what I'm going back to is when he first began we first began dating. He sent me a gift right after, like, right out of the gate. The first date we went on, he had a gift shipped to my house. And the gift was incredibly thoughtful, okay? This wasn't like a flashy gift. This was a gift where on our first date, he asked me, he was like, "Is there anything that you would that you've lost in life that you wish you could get back?" Something along those lines. He asked me that question, and I was like, "Well, I did actually recently lose, um, which I did recently lose. I had like a collection of crystals that I had collected. I was going to like gem fairs over the years. They have gem fairs out here in where I live like twice a year, and I love going to them just literally just so I could collect some crystals. And I had a big bag of crystals and I had put them all in a bag because I was cleaning up and I was living with my mom at the time and my brothers and my stepfather. And so I don't know if my stepfather I feel like my stepdad cleaned up the house and he didn't realize that the bag that I had, because I had put it in, like, a grocery bag. The bag that I had, like, sitting somewhere was a bag full of crystals. He probably assumed that it was trash. That's what I was thinking, because I could not find this bag nowhere. I'm like, "He must have thrown it away when he was putting the trash out." Like, that's the only thing that I could think. So I'm sharing with Shane about, like, how I lost all these crystals. And okay, we changed the subject. We start talking about something else. Um, and then after our first date, he asked me for my address. Um, and I was like, actually had to give him my real address because I gave him a dummy address. Um, when he was Ubering me to our date. And he was like, I need your real address so I can ship you something. And I was like, okay. I sent him my address. And I think within the next day or two, he sent me like a collection of crystals. It was so cute. Like, I just love that. I was like, "Oh, he was so thoughtful." Like, so I had a new collection of crystals to add to my collection. I had a new collection to start with, and they were big crystals too. Wasn't no baby crystals. They were big. And I think that kind of let me know that his intention to give, like, the way that he wants to give to me is not that of I want something out of you now. Okay. So now I sent you this bag of crystals. So give me this, I want something from you now. Now, that's why I have to say we were dating and he was trying to impress me. And that was the basis of his giving, right? That sacral energy. That's where he was giving to me from. So it was a to me a big gesture, a thoughtful gesture. It wasn't like a Chanel bag that I didn't ask for. You know what I'm saying? It was something that he knew would make me feel good. So that was coming from that sacral energy, his desire for me. Okay. And um when a woman is receiving something like that, like something like a gift, like it for that example, right? Like, you know, by the way that it feels, okay? Um, you know by the way that it feels, okay? And that gift was extremely thoughtful and it was unique to me. So that meant that even though he was doing it to impress me and for his ego, it actually was also honoring me as well, okay? So that can be some signs, right? Of like a man who is on that higher frequency and he's wanting to give and he's wanting to provide, but um or not I'm not going to say but. He's wanting to give and provide, and the and not expecting, right? Like physical intimacy, or there's not like this feeling on the end of it like, okay, like, you gave me this, are you gonna next time you see me, are you gonna like want me to do something or anything like that? No. So the exchange that I always provided, which was the emotional currency, right, was appreciation. I always exchange That was always the exchange. That was always the what I gave in return from what I can remember, right? Is like just sheer happiness, pleasure, and appreciation. Oh my gosh, this is like magical, magical sauce. I'm literally feel like I'm touching into the deeply loved, like this magical sauce inside of deeply loved. Um in this in this live video. So congratulations to those of you who are here and watching, and have been watching um for all this time, because I'm like, yeah, this is deeply loved for real, for real. So if you're wanting to like hack this and like really master this right here that I'm talking about, deeply loved, that is definitely your next best bet. If you're more so interested in the love aspect of relating to men and not so much the money, um whereas safe to receive is really like specifically focusing on money and financial provision and receiving money from men. um Deeply loved would be a fabulous add-on to combine the money part with the dream love manifestation part. Um, okay, let me hop on here, see how what I have talked about thus far. And I guess also if any of you have any questions who are watching me right now, I know a few of you have been watching me for some time. Now would be a great time to also throw in some questions, what you want to ask. Um, you can ask me anything about the previous live or anything about this current live right now. So, yeah, men providing, um, and the fear that women have around receiving a man's providing, um, we can link that to the collective energy, the distorted collective energy of masculinity, the timeline that they're stuck in. And also, I would say the reciprocal of that timeline men are stuck in um is the fear, right? Like the fear and the constricted feminine, right? Those two frequencies are reciprocals. So this is why women who are in that frequency are consistently running into men, right, who are like this, reaffirming the reality that it's not safe to receive from men. And then women who are still in this constricted, fearful state when it comes to receiving from men. Or I mean, this is a byproduct of the fear, but also hyper focused on these bad experiences with men, these bad the men that are hyper focused on um sex or porn or um have like or are diabolical cheaters, men who are struggling with that, right? When women are hyper focused in that frequency, you're also as a woman constrict like you're also like creating this world where this is the predominant thing. And so now everybody thinks that this is just the way men are and this is just the way women are. Um and for since this channel is for women and I'm speaking to women, you have to expand beyond that, right? You have to expand out of that in order to line up with the healthy masculine energy, right? That lives in that higher timeline. Okay. Um at that time and in that period when I experienced, right, the gifts and everything, like specifically talking about when I was dating Shane, um I did make the decision to leave behind feeling like I could only experience a certain type of masculinity or a certain level of masculinity. It was when I left that timeline behind, trust and believe. I was dealing with a lot of men who were transactional, who had that transactional energy of like wanting to provide for me or wanting to do things for me, but I could tell that they weren't in that higher timeline. Okay? I could tell that the reason that they were offering something was so that I could do something for them or so that I could um step into some role or help them with something or something that it was almost like a coercion type of a thing instead of an honoring, right? I want to honor you by giving to you and seeing you happy, seeing you in pleasure and all of these things. And then a connection can be made and an honoring of both people can happen. It wasn't that, right? I know what that looks like, okay? And um that was something that I set the intention to 1000% leave behind um before I went on my first date with Shane. Um and that was the beginning, right? I would say Shane honestly was the beginning of me experiencing really good relationships with men. Um, it was like the baseline, right? He kind of set the tone for the good experiences with men. Um, the loving, the honoring experiences with men. And I'm absolutely like happy and grateful to him for that, because that experience dating him allowed me to expand even more. Okay? Expand even more. So this is why when we're stuck in that like, just imagine if I was kind of still constricted when I met him, even though I had made that decision to leave the other stuff behind. Just imagine if I was still kind of constricted and limiting myself, and he was coming in and doing the things that he did for me and being generous and everything like that. Um, I wouldn't have healed or expand at the capacity that I ended up doing from that relationship. What probably would have happened is, I would have just rejected him, or I would have felt like he was creepy, or like, oh, this guy is sending me gifts. Like, I didn't ask him to send me gifts. Like, what is he doing? Is he trying to get something out of me? Like what's going on here? Um, yes. I'll give you more time on the phone, and then when I'm done on the tablet. Um, so yeah, just imagine if I was constricted in those areas. I wouldn't like, I don't think that I would have expanded at the level that I did, and um leveled up my experiences in love with men. Um and I think that's what can happen with women is sometimes you do meet a man who genuinely wants to give to you and provide for you and help you and make your life easier, but because you're in that timeline still, okay, um and you haven't broken out of it yet, which again, I definitely teach and go deeper into how to do that in my programs. Oh, that's weird. It's just gonna be more difficult. It ends up being more harder to. Let me just unplug this. Oh, Aleva, can you fix the charger? Sorry, Alma. I need to fix the charger. Aleva, fix the charger. Make sure the wire is in all the way, because it's not charging how it should. Let me see something. Aleva, can you do that for me right now, please? So yeah, so just imagine if that was the case. And I think for a lot of women that are struggling with that fear, that is the case. Aleva, Aleva, I need you to fix the charger. Whatever you No, you have to get off that for a second. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. 1 second, y'all. Okay, I think that worked. So yeah, just imagine if I did not um open myself up to receiving the healing, right? And then I kind of also touched on this in the previous live, how experiencing and being in relationships with men, provider men, healthy provider men, is very healing and can be very healing um in so many different ways. So feminine receiving is not transactional. Receiving isn't bargaining. Okay, it's not bargaining your worth, it's not bargaining, anything like that. It is affirming or allowing. Put it simply, it's allowing, okay? When women are open to receive, they invite men into their highest masculine expression. So whenever you step into this energy and you allow yourself to expand, right? And you don't fall into the lower masculine timeline of, oh, I have to give him something, or I have to give him my body, or I have to do something for, even if he wants it. Even if he's like making it seem like that's the thing that he wants from you, it's not the actual thing that he wants from you. He thinks that it is because that's the timeline that he's in. But the more that you stand in your expansion, he's going to realize and grow into, I wouldn't say he is or always will, but it can be a catalyst for that happening. Um, so, all right, so last thing that I want to say before I close out this video is that this work that we're doing here is about sustainable wealth, right? The activations that I've been going into, the money alchemy that I've been going into is about sustainable wealth and not so much about temporary survival, but sustainable wealth so that you can never be in the same survival mentality when it comes to men and men providing for you or financially at all. Um so yeah. Um I want to know, what are your reflections? What has your experience been with this? Um, Let me know what you thought about this video, basically. If you made it to the end of this video, and you really enjoyed this video, and um, let's see what can you put in the chat? Maybe you can put. I gotta get familiar with the emojis, um, for sure. Let's see. Maybe you can put some hmm, receiving. I don't know. I always go to money bags. So you could just put some money bags in the chat, okay? Put some money bags in the chat, put some dollars in the chat, put some diamonds in the chat, put some honey pots in the chat. If you made it to the end of this video, let me know what your thoughts were. Um Again, Safe to Receive, the enrollment for Safe to Receive, the link is pinned in the comments. And if you want to enroll into Safe to Receive and add on Deeply Loved, which would be a double whammy, okay? The link to Deeply Loved, I am going to put it in the description after this live is over. But if you click on my PayPal link, I do have Deeply Loved added on, um, as an add-on. So that's also available for you to access. Remember, if you want to get access to the early bird pay in full price, we are going to be getting started on October 6th. So this is where you can actually tune in to the modules with me live, okay? After that, you won't be able to. This is just gives you the opportunity to ask me questions and be engaged, and get live in-person coaching with me. And if you want to sign up for the payment plan, then you would click the deposit link, which is $111. This secures your spot before October 6th. This also gives you access to all of the bonuses once you secure your spot. Um and the feminine wealth, or not the feminine wealth, the feminine abundance session that I'm going to be offering, which is a live session again where I'm going to be going through all your money blocks when it comes to your emotions, your thought patterns, your handling, your habits, all of those things. Let me know how y'all like the video, and let's see. I'm just going to make sure there's anything else that I want to cover. Um, yeah, I think, let's see. Yeah, I think I covered everything. So thank y'all so much for coming. For those of you who came and watched and commented, I appreciate you. Let me know what we're gonna be going live on next. What are you interested in knowing more about? What are your questions? My next live video for sure I will be doing on Thursday. Potentially again on Tuesday, I will be going live. So let me know what we can chat about and talk about. But yeah, until then, thank you all so much, and it has been a pleasure. Bye.